Hi everyone and welcome to the 4th episode of Fangirl Hell. In this episode we'll be discussing everything that we've missed since the last podcast because we apparently can't get our lives together record regularly. I'm Cosmic, lifeline nerd and aspiring genius, and my co-host is
Christy Lee Stewart, writer, genius, and the woman who's about to school the shit out of you. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. I know I've been making you nervous because I've been saying that I'm about to school the shit out of you. So we're going to start with movies, and specifically Spider-Man.
Okay.
And before we get into the details of Spider-Man, I'd like to remind everybody that episode 2, in the outtakes, we talk about Spider-Man and whether it's sci-fi or not. And we have this argument about whether it can be sci-fi because he gets bit by a radioactive bug. Cosmic says no, because the bug wasn't intended to. Well, in the new movie.
No, I said no because there is no shred of evidence that being bitten by a radioactive bug is going to give you superpowers.
Okay, go ahead, explain that. That doesn't matter. I'm still about to school the shit out of you. In the new movie, the spider that bites him, it's genetically engineered to change humans' genes to make them take on the properties of the animal that they're working on.
Oh my god, they finally fixed Spider-Man's origin story to make sense!
So, yeah, I was watching the movie, and I'll talk about how shitty that movie is in a second, but all of a sudden it dawns on me, and I almost scream in the middle of the theater, Cosmic, you son of a bitch. I won. It was an amazing moment for me. Now, okay, because God knows somebody might actually listen to this podcast and think they're completely retarded. I don't know that they haven't written this type of origin story in Spider-Man before because I don't follow it. I just know the original origin story, so it was a radioactive one. So when we were arguing about last time, I was basing off the comic books. And so to your credit, movieverse versus comic verse is different canon, but it still is Spider-Man canon. So technically, you can now not badmouth Spider-Man anymore.
I'm just glad they finally realized the error of their ways and made it so it makes some bit of sense. I feel vindicated. Obviously, there was something wrong with their story if they felt they had to change it.
Well, I mean, back when they originally made Spider-Man, I think if they were like, oh yeah, we'll genetically engineer a bug, that would be like, no, that's way too crazy. That's way out there. We'll just,
That's too sciencey. Nobody will understand that.
So, give a little credit. But about the Spider-Man movie itself, have you seen it?
No. I kind of wanted to because I thought from the previews it looked good, but I talked to Megan about it and she said it wasn't that great.
Megan is, of course, a friend we share. Okay, I went to the movie with Megan, and we watched the movie, we left the movie, and it was kind of quiet. It was one of those quiet walks to the car where you're both kind of just like internally trying to get over the trauma.
Yeah.
And I said, did you like the movie? And she's like, it was okay. And then, like an abusive husband, I was like, what the fuck do you mean it's okay? That sucked. So on the ride home, we just went over every little thing that sucked about the movie. But the worst thing...
Why did you think... Did it suck from the point of view of, like, a comic book fan or somebody who knows about Spider-Man, or did it just suck in general? Because, like, I don't really read comic books. I know base levels about Spider-Man, so would somebody, like, enjoy it more than somebody who, has some knowledge about it?
Well, the thing... I think people's reactions to it are the most interesting part of the movie because the comic book fans are split. Half of them say they don't like it because it's too close to the original Spider-Man movies that they made. But that's stupid. It's an origin story. The first one was an origin story. This is an origin story. Unless, he gets bit by a raccoon and he's Raccoon Man, it's gonna have to be like the other movie.
Yeah.
You just can't change that much.
If they change, but see, that's like a double-edged sword because if they changed it too much to make it be completely different from the other movie, then you're gonna have people complaining that it's too different,
Yeah, I mean, comic book fans will never be happy. There are ones that did like the movie, but the only thing they say is like, oh yeah, I like the movie. I found that a lot of fangirls that have gotten into Spider-Man through the popularity of Avengers, and there's this fandom that says, Captain America and Iron Man get married in our, super family
Yeah.
AU, and Spider-Man is their son. So they all seem to enjoyed it immensely.
Uh-huh.
And they're going again and again and again. So I think if the movie does especially well, it all gets owed to that AU, which is an interesting concept, actually, about how fandom and fandom's own universes can affect real-world box office sales.
Yeah.
But the reason I didn't like the Spider-Man movie is the dialogue was really, really bad. There's this, important, iconic scene where Uncle Ben tells Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. Everybody knows that. I think most everybody knows where it comes from, too. But they didn't want to be so obvious. So in the movie, he instead gives this long speech that kind of adds up to that speech. But he doesn't say it. The whole time you're sitting in the audience going, what the fuck are you talking about? Just say it. Why are we watching this? And then most of the movie is kind of him just like running around being like, oh, cool, look what I can do. I'm Spider-Man. And I'm like, well, yeah, we know you're Spider-Man. Get the fuck on with it.
How old is Peter Parker supposed to be in the movie?
He's a teenager. I don't know if they gave an exact age.
So, let's say 16 to 18, probably. Is he in high school?
Yeah, he's in high school. I would say 15, 16, 17.
Okay, so thinking logically, yeah, some random teenage boy who suddenly can shoot webs out of his wrist is probably going to spend a majority of the first couple months being like, oh, this is so cool, look what I can do, before they get down to business.
Well, the thing is, his getting down to business is, and I gotta give it to him, they stayed really close to the original canon. Because in the original canon, he becomes, half spider dude, and he has no interest in becoming a spider, superhero. He's just like, oh yeah, whatever. In the original one, he wants to get rich off of it. But then his uncle gets killed by this mugger that he had the chance to stop and just didn't, because he just didn't give a shit. And they follow that in the movie. And after his uncle dies, he goes on this vendetta about, oh, I'm going to find the killer. So the whole movie kind of is him running around trying to find blonde guys that look like the dude who killed his uncle. And yeah, it kind of seems like that's all it's about, because of course, I mean, you have the whole Gwen Stacy thing and you have your epic battle at the end, but it's so anticlimactic. And most of the big battle at the end is about him having been shot in the leg and needs to swing from spider webs a couple blocks over to get to the bad guy. And they play this epic music, and they just show him swinging and grunting, and he's swinging and he's swinging. And that's what broke it for me. That definitely, I was like, I could put up with everything else, but I need him to stop swinging right this second. Ugh. So I mean, I will just kill that to death. So let's move on to another movie.
Okay.
Brave. Did you see Brave?
I did not, but I do have something I want to talk about over.
I can't imagine you wouldn't see Brave. She looks just like you.
I would like to see it, but I don't have anyone willing to go see what a lot of people consider a children's movie with me in the theater.
It is a children's movie.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think it would be awkward for you to go, because people would be like, oh, look, she came in cosplay. I bet you if you went, people would stop you and be like, is that a wig? Is that your real hair?
As much as I would love to have hair that looks exactly like hers, mine's not quite as fabulously curly.
It sure seems like it to me.
My hair is curly, but it's not that curly.
I felt like I was watching a cosmic movie.
So, shortly after the movie was released, apparently there was this discussion going around, I would say mostly online, about the possibility of Merida being a lesbian.
Yes, because that's what I was going to talk about too.
And there were people who were like upset over this, but not necessarily upset because of the possibility of her being a lesbian, more so upset by the reasoning behind it from, I'm sure, other articles, but there's this one article specifically that I read on this community called Oh No They Didn't, which is like a celebrity news and pop culture and gossip community on LiveJournal. But the article was written by Entertainment Weekly, and this is an exact quote from this article, okay? But could Merida be gay? Absolutely. She bristles at the traditional gender roles that she's expected to play. The demure daughter, the obedient fiancé, her love of unprincess-like hobbies, including archery and rock climbing, is sure to strike a chord with gay viewers who felt similarly, quote, not like the other kids growing up, and she hates the prospect of marriage, at least to any of the 3 oafish clansmen that compete for her hand, enough to run away from home and put her own mother's life at risk. She's certainly not a swooning, boy-crazy Disney princess like the Little Mermaid's Ariel or Snow White. In fact, Merida may be the first in that group to be completely romantically disinclined. Even cross-dressing Mulan had a soft spot for Li Shang. So a lot of people were upset basically by this article implying that any woman who doesn't want to be an obedient wife or follow traditional female roles is basically a lesbian. And there were people at this Oh No They Didn't community who got in a bit of a huff about other people's reactions, saying that them being offended by the article was homophobic. But, a lot of people were coming back and saying that's, not why they're upset. They're upset because, and I'm quoting one of the users, the article implies that your sexual orientation is somehow connected to how much you challenge traditional gender roles. It's offensive to women of all orientations, to be honest. Straight women because it assumes that they're all obedient wives who enjoy girly girl activities, and lesbian women because it brands them with both the social rebel and manly stereotypes. To be honest, it kind of seems like this article is a thinly veiled attack on feminism.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I heard about this lesbian news, some news feed where it was they were talking about a Christian website that came out to tell, parishioners, don't see this movie, she's a lesbian. And in their article, they were saying, it's thinly veiled, that she's a lesbian, and they kind of give the same reasonings, and it was kind of like see how ridiculous this is. Seeing the movie, it didn't occur to me that she could be a lesbian character, but after reading it, I thought, you know what? That could have been the intention, and that's not necessarily, anything to debate, because she's such a young girl in the movie that her sexual orientation shouldn't even come into play into it. And the idea that, people keep citing she didn't want to marry her 3 prospects. Well, they made the 3 prospects, not desirable guys to begin with. But the fact was that it's not that she didn't like the guys, it's she didn't like the idea of marriage.
Yeah.
If anything, a better argument could have been made that she was asexual instead of a lesbian, because she had no interest in anything romantic or to be in any kind of traditional role.
Well, how old was her character supposed to be?
I think she was supposed to be 14 or 15, but she certainly gets played a lot younger. So...
Right. I know this is the past, right? And women got married a lot younger in the past, but from a modern perspective, a 14 to 15-year-old not being interested in marriage is perfectly normal.
Yeah. That's the preferred opinion. I would rather my 14-year-old daughter not want to get married right now. What struck me throughout the movie, the movie, it wasn't that great. It wasn't really about a girl, having her own adventure. It was more about a mom and daughter being at a stereotypical odds with each other. It was a very stereotypical, moms and daughters can't get along. And that bugged me in that this was kind of Pixar's attempt to quiet the feminist group, saying you never put females in your movies, and when you do, they hardly get any airtime at all, and you don't have any females on your staff. So this was kind of them saying, oh look, we'll do a whole movie about a woman. And then when they did a whole movie about a woman, it was look how catty women are together. That's my beef with the movie.
Yeah.
But no one's paying attention to that because everyone's just upset about the lesbian thing. But that's fine.
Yeah. And I definitely got what you're saying, and I guess I don't know why the whole possibility of a lesbian thing would trump that. If you take the aspect that the only reason people are possibly even assuming that she could be a lesbian is because, as the quote I told you, she doesn't fit the traditional gender role that women get assigned, that is also a feminist issue, as well as the whole women are only catty thing. So
yeah, I was surprised more people didn't talk about that. You can say, well, I didn't have a childhood like that, and you didn't have a childhood like that, and it's not real great evidence that it's actually an anomaly. But none of the girls I knew, strictly played with girl toys, and the boys didn't. One of my best friend growing up was a boy, and he played with my Barbies, and I played with his boys stuff.
Yeah.
It was the exact opposite. It seems like more often than not, men seem to be more emotional, like to play with dolls, and get more upset over breakups, and yet on TV and in the media they tell us it's the exact opposite.
I don't know, maybe the Hollywood people live in some mythical land where their lives really are like that, and then everybody else's lives are opposite and they don't realize.
Maybe it's another AU. I'm living in an AU.
Another, just one quick thing I wanted to mention about Brave. Like, I go to this forum called, what's it called? Curl Talk or something like that? For like, it's like about hair care for curly hair.
I thought it was going to be about like Olympic curling.
And like a lot of people on there were really excited that there was actually going to be a character in a movie with curly hair that was not a villain, because a lot of times, like especially in animated movies, the villain has like crazy curly hair, and in this movie it was a girl with crazy curly hair that was not a villain, and a lot of people were really excited about that. So I'll just put that out there.
Yeah, I had never realized that, but now you said that, that's true.
Either that, or the girl is not a villain, but she has curly hair, but the only way she can be seen as pretty or acceptable is to straighten her hair.
Yeah.
Like in Princess Diaries.
I never saw that, but I sure. I babysat a girl that was obsessed with Princess Diaries.
Yeah. Well,
so I feel like I know that.
Princess Diaries, like the girl had sort of frizzy, curly hair, and everybody was like, "Oh, she's so ugly," and she had like glasses and stuff.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, didn't she have glasses too? It was another stereotype of glasses.
They took off the glasses and gave her contacts, and they flat ironed her hair, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. But I mean, her face still basically looked the same, so well, whatever.
Yeah, I don't like that actress anyway. I think her face is terrible. But, you know, if it means anything, because I can understand within a community, which that's weird that there's a community just for curly hair, but...
Oh, yeah. There is. They talk about, like, you know, they have this thing, they call it the curly girl method of taking care of your hair. So it's like, you don't use shampoos that have sulfates in them or silicones, and you don't use conditioners that have silicones in them, because the only way to remove silicones is to use sulfate shampoos, which dry out and damage your hair.
Wow.
I know way too much about it.
Yes, you do. This may turn into a version of The View. But like I was going to say, I can understand where that'd be a big subject within a community like that, but a lot of what I saw, especially on Tumblr, when people, you know, were like, oh, cool, Brave's coming out, here's a bunch of pictures, here's a bunch of GIFs. A lot of what people talked about, too, was the hair, and it was like, oh, I love her hair, wish I had hair like that, it's so cute, I love her hair. So, it is a big deal, her hair.
Yeah.
Okay, so, geez, I feel like we're going to transition to nice little kid movie until something naughty. But Ted, I'm assuming you didn't see Ted because you don't see movies.
No, I didn't.
In the theater.
I see movies in the theater when my sister wants to see.
How does your sister not want to see the Ted movie?
I feel so pathetic about this, but I don't own my own car. So the only time I really get to go to movies is if somebody I know with a car is willing to go. And that's typically my sister.
You need to take the bus. But have you heard of Ted? Do you know what Ted is?
Yeah, I know what it's basically about, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the creator of Family Guy.
Uh-huh.
And it's about this guy who... He's a lonely kid, doesn't have any friends, and he gets a teddy bear for Christmas, and he wishes that it would come to life so they could be best friends, and he does. And then in the future, you know, it's a middle-aged guy, doesn't really have his shit together, and neither does the teddy bear. And they kind of roommate together. And what I thought was interesting, this was actually supposed to be a cartoon series that just kept being put on the back burner, and eventually they just made a movie out of it, which... When I started watching the movie, I thought, oh, I'm glad they just made a movie, because this is good, you know, succinctly put as a movie. But then by the end of it, I was so in love with the whole thing. I was like, can we have a TV show now? It was hilarious. The movie was so funny.
Okay, I have to bring this up. I saw on your Tumblr, you said something about, like, in the movie that, like, Ryan Reynolds kissed a guy.
Oh my god.
You were like, Deadpool? So,
oh my god.
Tell me about this.
Okay. Well, okay. Let me start by saying...
I just want to know, was it like a real kiss or like a gag kiss?
Oh, no. Okay, so the main dude, and I don't know his name, Marky Mark, we're going to call him, because I don't know his character's name. So Marky Mark works with this guy who at the beginning of the movie is like, man, I had a hard weekend, and you can see that he just got the shit beat out of him. And he's like, dude, what happened to you? He's like, I have no memory, but I have these texts on my phone where I texted some guy and I asked if he'd beat me up. And then later I texted him and I said, thanks for beating me up. So I think I might be in some weird kind of fight club. So later on, you find that it's this weird gay fight club where you hook up and beat the shit out of each other. And at the end of the movie, he's at a party and he's like, yeah, I finally figured out who the dude was I was texting. And it's Ryan Reynolds, and they're like, there together. He's like, I guess I'm gay now. And they kiss. Ryan Reynolds has no lines. He just kind of gives this smoldering look and leans over, kisses him, and then looks back again. And then later on, they're like, what's with your gay friends on the couch making out? I was like, show it, oh my god.
That is fantastic.
Dude, it's yeah, see it for that. See it just for that. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool in the Wolverine movie, and he's going to be playing him in his, self-titled movie. And because I have a blog now that's kind of just Deadpool based, I've just been seeing Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. So the moment I saw him, I was like, what the fuck, Deadpool? Why is Deadpool kissing that guy?
All the, Deadpool stuff that you've been posting on Tumblr, I really enjoy his sense of humor. It makes me interested in that character.
Have you been following just my personal one, or have you been following my Spideypoolverse one?
Just the personal one, but, you reblog a lot of the Spideypoolverse stuff, so... Well, I might follow the Spidey...
have to blog some more, then, because you have got to see the other stuff. Because I just do it when I remember. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll put this on my personal one. But yeah, oh my god, Deadpool, I'm so excited. But there's Deadpool news later on, so we'll talk about Deadpool. But the other thing I want to talk about in Ted, it's hilarious, and when you're, maybe you don't because you don't like to go to movies, but sometimes you're in a movie and they make a really obscure joke, and you're the only one who laughs.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I've been in the audience a lot when there's a geeky kind of reference, and it's me laughing and a bunch of middle-aged guys.
Uh-huh.
And there was definitely a moment of that, because in the Ted movie, Marky Mark and his teddy bear, which is hilarious, out of context, years ago, if I heard myself say that, I would have shit myself. They're really into Flash Gordon.
Okay.
And toward the end of the movie, Flash Gordon shows up at the teddy bear's party, and so the guy comes, and they snort cocaine with him and just party. And the funniest thing is, it's the guy who played Flash Gordon, and he looks just like an old version of him, and they keep making Flash Gordon references, and it's just so funny. The movie is just filled with geeky shit and Ryan Reynolds kissing a guy. It's the best movie I think I've ever seen. Oh, but the teddy bear, I read recently, there's some porn site that wants to start catering to the furry community. So they're trying to buy the rights to the Ted image so that they can use him as a spokesperson, so they can get furries to come in, which I don't think they're going to be able to buy the rights, but that's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Last movie is That's My Boy. I don't really have a lot to say about it, but it's what's his name?
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler. This is his new one. Everyone was like, oh, he's back. Did you hear anything about that?
I saw previews for it, but as far as any reactions to it, I haven't heard anything.
People were super excited about it and was like, oh, Adam Sandler's back. It's his old school stuff. And it kind of was, but it's, it kind of fell short a little bit, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was just wondering if you heard any news about it, because it just seems like maybe Adam Sandler's just kind of not going to be what he was supposed to be. He's not going to be the golden child anymore.
Well, he hasn't been the golden child in a while. I mean, let's face it.
But he's still been a child. This was supposed to be a passing of the torch between him and Andy Samberg, too.
Yeah, possible.
And it was Andy Samberg kind of just was there in the movie. He didn't really get a chance to be super funny in himself. Yeah. The only thing I really liked about it is at the end, even though they didn't show them together or kissing or doing anything romantic, I mean, this is a spoiler for the movie, although I don't think anybody's going to actually see it. Andy Samberg leaves his rich white girlfriend and starts dating a black woman.
Okay.
which is, rare in Hollywood movies to see interracial couples, especially a white guy and a black woman.
A white Jewish guy.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. I didn't think of it that way. So, yeah, I was like, oh, okay, well, kudos to that. I can't be too mean on the movie. But that's all.
Okay, I have a little bit more of like movie stuff.
Okay.
So on the topic of what you said of how like in That's My Boy, like Andy Samberg sort of just seemed like he was there. This movie hasn't actually come out yet, but I've been seeing previews for it. It's called The Watch, and it has like Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn,
yes,
and what's his name, Jonah Hill, and this other actor named Richard Ayoade, who is British, and he was in the show that I love called The IT Crowd or The It Crowd. You could say it either way. But
it looks funny.
It looks funny from the previews, but I just get this feeling that I would be disappointed by it. Richard Ayoade's character seems like he's going to barely really be played down, because in the preview he has no speaking lines, and when they list the actors' names, like they do that flash of their name, he doesn't get his name in the flashes. It's just the other three bigger stars, I guess.
Okay, so wait. There are two different previews though, and the one that they aired originally and the one that they're putting in the theaters, he actually gets a pretty big spotlight where he has a lot of dialogue.
Cause see, I've seen the previews that they show on TV, and then I saw like a Red Band trailer that was put online. So I haven't seen what they put in the theaters, but I know the ones they show on TV, he has no speaking parts. I think the Red Band trailer that I watched online, he may have said a few things, but not much. But I just get the feeling that his character is going to be sort of in the background, not doing much.
Yeah, I think so too, and when I saw he was in the movie, I thought, okay, that's odd that they picked him for this role.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's like, foreigners and people with dark skin scare most movie-going crowds, right?
Yeah. And also, he doesn't really, how can I put this? He doesn't fit the stereotype that somebody would have of either a British person or a black person.
Yeah, I know.
He's kind of nerdy.
Yeah. I think that's cool though. That he fits the stereotype to a nil. So either if it's done well, it could be like, good job, different type of movie, different type of actors, or it could be just really awkward.
The other movie thing, it's more, I guess it's sort of gossip because I don't think it's been confirmed, but there's been this like rumor, I guess, going around that in the new Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in it, and there are people saying that he's going to be Nightwing.
What? Oh my god, no, I haven't heard that. That would be amazing. I'm creaming myself right now. Oh my god. That would be amazing.
Yeah. There are people, there's been rumors going around that he, all over a bunch of different websites, that he might be Nightwing.
Okay, wait. But the dude who plays Batman, that asshole, I don't remember his name, he's not doing anymore. So this is supposed to be like the end of this series of Batman movies. So are they going to be launching a new series in which, and is he going to be Robin first?
I don't know. From what I read, because I had only read just a little byline, is Joseph Gordon-Levitt going to be Nightwing? And then a few nights ago, to prepare for the podcast, I was trying to find articles, and from what I remember, of what people were saying, I guess it was Christopher Nolan said that Robin is not going to be in the movie at all. He's specifically said Robin won't be in the movie, but I don't know exactly why people are speculating that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to be Nightwing, but somebody said that, I guess in one of the comic books, Batman gets killed and then Nightwing fills the gap that he left or something. So people are thinking that might be what happened.
Yeah, you could say that, but he was also Robin first. Is he just some dude that shows up and was like, oh, I'm Nightwing, now I'm Batman, now I'm fucking Nightwing again?
I think they're gonna try and skip the Robin thing and just go straight to Nightwing, because
that will piss so many people off. Oh.
I read that somebody was saying how, how do you do a teenage sidekick in a movie that's that, dark? So it would make more sense to just go straight to Nightwing, but
you could do it, and people wouldn't like it, and I think you would do some stuff that might be a little weird. You could do it, though.
Do you think Joseph Gordon-Levitt would make a good Nightwing? I don't really know anything about Nightwing.
I love him. I adore him.
Wait, which him are you talking about? Nightwing or
Both,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
actually. Of course, Nightwing lately, I think he's become too much like a, he's too slutty right now. He needs to wrap it up a little. What's his name's too long.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I love him. I absolutely love him, and I would totally support him as Nightwing, but I couldn't actually imagine him. If I was picturing Nightwing, he would not come to mind. Because Nightwing, I mean, like, he's like, you know, I think he might be able to play him character-wise, kind of, but he certainly doesn't fit the image of Nightwing.
Okay.
Nightwing's known for being, like, super, I don't know. He just doesn't look like him.
Okay, image-wise, who, as an actor, do you think image-wise would fit Nightwing?
Okay, so here's a problem, because I don't know a lot of actors. What's an actor that has, like, a really long, muscular body and a really big bubble butt? Because Nightwing is known for having a bubble butt.
I don't know. First of all, what age range is Nightwing in?
God, how old is he supposed to be now? I think he's supposed to be in his 30s now.
Okay, so you want somebody who could sort of play their 30s. Like, you don't want to pick out an actor who's like 50 and looks 50. You want somebody
Well, it depends on when you're placing the movie, too. Because if you want to be like, he never was Robin, which is stupid.
Yeah, that's true. Well, because I know from, like, the preview stills or whatever, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing a cop.
And he looks, like, really thin, right? That's why I'm saying I can't really see him.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know how recent it was, but I saw a picture where he looked a little more buffed up. I mean, he's still not, like, crazy muscular, but he's not, like,
I'm not talking
thinner.
Thor. I mean, because that was a problem with Thor. When the announcement came out that it was going to be a Thor movie, all I can think was, who in the hell has a body that can play Thor? Because Thor is incredibly huge. I mean, he's super tall. He's as big as a semi.
Yeah.
And it kind of pulls off. I mean, the dude chunked up pretty well.
Speaking of Thor, I actually finally saw the 2 Iron Man movies, Thor and Captain America.
Tell me about it.
It was so good. Like, I love Tony Stark. Yeah. Like, he's hilarious.
He is super good in those movies. Okay, did you like Loki? See, the fact that you even paused there means you're so far to the fandom, because he's bigger than anything.
This is what I told Megan. I pity him. I genuinely
Well, that's why people started liking him. I mean, because, in the comic, he is not a likable bad guy. He's just not. But in the movie, they really strive to give him, something that the audience can connect with. And they went so far that the whole audience was like, "God, fuck Thor! God, what an asshole!"
I mean, like what I said to Megan when I was talking to her about it, like, to go, like, he went his whole life feeling like he didn't measure up to his brother, feeling like his parents didn't love him as much as his brother, and then he finds out, oh, well, of course they don't love me as much, I don't measure up, I'm not really their kid, and the only reason they took me was to try to broker some sort of peace agreement between some other alien race of people. Like, that's sad. And it's like, well, of course, warped in the head. I mean,
he's a good character. I really like, I don't want to pontificate or anything. In the comic, he has those reasonings behind him the whole time. But of course, Thor's such an old comic that back when it started, your bad guys were just bad guys and kind of weird. So he kind of kept with that, and in more recent years, he got super better. He would do good things and he would do bad things, and his justification for it is, well, I'm the trickster god. I'm the god of being mischievous, and I don't have free will, which I think is a fabulous thing to talk about in this kind of story. Is they're not human, they're gods. The difference between gods and humans is that gods don't have free will. That's why humans are seen as more powerful beings. But he doesn't, make too terrible a claim in it, and I don't want to give away spoilers. Or maybe I do. I don't know. Should we give away spoilers?
Is this spoilers to the comic book?
Yeah, and definitely they're going to have to do it in the movies. Because you have that whole story with Loki, and then Loki gets shit for always doing mischievous things. Not necessarily evil things, but things to mess with people. And, his point of view is, I have no control over it. It's something that's innate in me.
He's like the scorpion that rides the dogs back to cross the river.
It's exactly that. And then he makes the claim, look, it's like Thor. Thor's a good guy. You all love Thor. Thor's the protector of I mean, in traditional Norse especially, he's the protector of humans. He's the protector of Midgard. He can't help but not do the right thing, and sometimes in his inability to only do the right thing, he causes trouble, and that's just how it happens. And here's a spoiler, and seriously, because I know people are obsessed with Thor and the movies and stuff, this is a huge spoiler for you guys, so don't listen to this for a second. There is a third brother. It turns out that, Thor's like, the chosen son, he's gonna rule. Well, it turns out that there is an actual firstborn that Odin just kind of gets rid of.
Why?
I don't know specifically because I haven't read the comics in their entirety. And his name is Balder. And he gets rid of him, and he's been abandoned, and he gets refound. And they're like, okay, now you're just, you're the firstborn, so you get to be in charge. So Thor kind of gets, shoved off to the side too, and kind of sees where Loki's coming from, and yet he still continues to do good. And Balder is kind of in between the two, where he's not chained down by some kind of cosmic need to be a certain way. He's not the trickster, he's not the good guy. So you have these three brothers that kind of represent the spectrum, and Balder's in the middle, kind of not liking either brother, and Loki, constantly, berates him, like, you're the stupid one, you're the shitty brother, Thor is as cursed as I am because he has to be good, and I have to be bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a great dynamic that they eventually do in the comics, but the movieverse, I think, is the best.
I want to see the Avengers now so bad,
it's so good.
But it's not on DVD, so I can't find a download, and I was checking to, like, the movies on demand thing on through my cable, and it's not on there yet. So...
It's got to come out soon. Just hold your breath. It's so good.
Okay, I don't think there's anything else movie.
I know you had music, right? I don't have anything on music, so let's hear. I'm excited. What do you have to say about music? I'm
just going to talk about a CD that I've been listening to a lot lately that I really like. So, nothing too exciting.
Is it new?
The CD isn't new, but
what do you mean
one
you
of the
bought
songs
it used?
No. I don't have a physical copy of the CD. I'm talking about the release date of the CD.
I was joking. That's odd.
The CD was actually released in the latter half of last year, but
if you say LMFAO, I'm going to show.
No, it's not. It's not. The album was released in the latter half of last year, but one of the singles for it was just released in June, or the music video was released in June. I don't know if they've actually released the single yet, but it's the album's called Echoes. It's by Will Young.
Okay.
Do you know who Will Young is?
No.
He won like the first season of, what was it, Pop Idol in the UK.
Okay.
Oh, come on, you know who Will Young is.
If I saw him, I probably would. So when I watch this podcast, I'll be like, oh, that's the picture of him. Okay.
This album is so good. Like, I love this album. It's different. I guess, like, I've only ever heard one other song by him, called Leave Right Now. But from what I've read, like, his style of music tends to be sort of like mid-tempo, ballady pop music, but this album has a more electronic feel, and it's really good. Like, I really like this album. Like, I've been listening to it so much.
So does he do love stories, or is it good, like, lyric writing too?
What do you mean love stories?
Well, because I mean, when you get, like, ballady kind of guys, it's all songs are about, like, oh, my lost love, or I love you.
Well, no, it's not just love songs. I mean, obviously a lot of it is love songs, but it's not just love songs. And a lot of it's like, since the music is more electronic, a lot of it sort of, you get this dynamic of where the music's sort of upbeat, but the lyrics are kind of melancholy. And I like that sort of dynamic, you know? So, yeah, I really enjoy that CD. Because it's really good. I would really recommend that.
I look forward to seeing a picture of him and figuring out who the shit he is.
You so are gonna know who he is. If you don't know who he is, I will be surprised.
Okay. Well, I look forward to surprising you too. So, however this works out, I'll be happy.
Like, okay, who came in second place?
Oh, like, it was, I know. I don't. Please.
What's his name? Like Gareth Gates or something like that?
His name sounds familiar. Actually.
You know who these people are.
Who are those twins? Those weird twins with the hair? I don't know.
Jedward.
Yeah, I know them. Buy their CD.
Have you seen their latest music video?
No.
Are
they making out?
Oh, wow. There's one part where like they're on a beach And it's from the camera's point of view, and it looks like, one of them is holding onto someone's hands and they're spinning around, and you just see their face. But then the camera pulls out and they're holding each other's hands, spinning around.
My God. That's fantastic.
Apparently, like, they filmed it, I think, partially in California and partially in Florida. So, Christy, do you realize we could have had the chance to see them in person?
Oh. What a fantastic experience that would be. But I think the moment you lay eyes on them, off a screen, you might just catch chlamydia. So I don't want to, risk that.
Or lose half your brain cells.
Yeah. Well, that's it for music news.